Okay, today we're going to learn how to program robots. I may or may not be in the classroom, but please, number one thing is do not watch the whole video without pausing. You are going to need to watch increments and pause and do what I say as you're following along with me. Please pause the video as you need to and follow along, otherwise you will not be able to complete the whole set of instructions. First thing is we need to find this RobotC for Vex Robotics 4.x. There's another one that looks similar, so please don't be mistaken. There's one that's called RobotC for something graphical. We don't want to use that one. We want to use the circular one, so we'll double click on that. There will be this menu window that pops up. We'll wait for it. It'll go away. We'll next go to File up in the corner. Then we'll go down to New, and then to New File. And here's what you see. Now, before I teach you anything about this, what you see on your screen, make sure none of it gets deleted. We're going to go up to Robot. Here's another thing you need to check every time you go into this program. Mine is set to Vex IQ, which is not the type of robot brain that we have. Yours might be set to something different. So, I'm going to go down to Vex Robotics. We need to have 2.0 Cortex selected. If that's already selected, you're good to go. We also need to go up to Robot once again and back to Platform Type. And we need to make sure that Natural Language PLTW is selected. Okay, so when it looks like this under Platform Type, 2.0 Cortex and PLTW, you're good to go. Now, let me explain to you what's happening here. You've got this whole set of text, essentially, and this is what tells the robot, hey, here's what you run. Task main tells the robot, here's your task. Where you're going to be putting the task is between this curly brace and this curly brace. If you delete even one part of this task main, your program will not run. So for instance, if I delete this, doesn't work. If I delete one of the letters on this, look, goes black, doesn't work. Make sure that all of that stuff stays intact, including the curly braces. If you lose one, will not work. Okay. Now, let's take a look over at the side. We've got, actually, I'm sorry, I got off track there. We need to go back up to Robot. So we're going to go up to Robot. We're going to set up our robot. Because right now, we're trying to program something, but the program doesn't know like what motors we have or what buttons or any of that stuff. So we're going to go to Robot, and we're going to go to Motors and Sensors Setup. Okay. Most likely yours will be on this screen, Standard Models. We don't want that. We want to switch over to the Motors tab. Now you'll realize that we never plugged anything into port 1. We plugged our motors into ports 2 and 3. Now, there's a very specific way that we need to name these motors, and if you name it something different, I can't help you if you have problems. So please name it the way that I do. The first one we're going to call right motor. Now, here's how you name it. R-I-G-H-T, all lowercase, no space. Capital M-O-T-O-R. So that's right motor, all one word, just with a capital M. Port 3 is going to be the same. Left motor, all one word, with a capital M. Okay. Right motor, left motor. Under type, right now if we just left it, this program would say, yeah, they've got names, but there's no motor there. So we've got to select what type of motor we have. So we're going to select 393 motor. So Vex 393 motor for each. Now, those smart ones of you that are thinking say, those motors are facing opposite directions. Indeed, In order to make your car go forward, we're going to have to make one of those motors reversed. So I'm going to just select the left motor and click reversed. Now, if we get done with this exercise and your car goes backwards on accident, simply switch the reversed to the other motor. Okay? When you're done, hit apply and OK. You'll notice we have some pragma statements up top. This is just telling the program, hey, there's a motor here. Here's what it's called. This is what type of motor it is. Okay? So, all of our codes are going to be between these curly braces, like I said, in this area. Let's get some codes. We've got to click this natural language plus button, the one next to it, and you'll see all these other options come up. Today we're just going to make our robot move. So we're going to click on movement. And we've got two motors, okay? So we're going to start a motor. So what we're going to do is click and hold and drag our mouse over to line number 7. And we've got to start motor start. Well, if we only started one motor, our robot would go in circles. So we actually need two start motor commands right on top of each other. Okay, just like that. We're going to call out what our motors are. So instead of motor port, we're going to delete that. We're going to call one exactly as we put it in the motors and sensor setup. So right motor. The bottom one I'll say left motor. And it also says speed here. Well, these motors go from negative 127 to 127. Okay, 127 is top speed. We're not going to worry about negatives. So either you can have it at 0, which is not moving, or you can have it at 127. Let's do that for now. Okay. So we're going to set both of them to 127. Now, we don't want our robot to run endlessly, okay? Because it would be a nuisance. It could run out through the hall, through the door, down the street. We'd never see it again, okay? So we're going to tell it a certain time for these motors to run. So we're going to go down to this wait, okay? So it's going to start the motors, then it's going to wait for a certain amount of time. So we click that plus next to wait. We're going to click wait time. It's going to be our next code. Now this tells us how many seconds we want it to run. We're going to go 3 seconds. Okay, so that wait time, we're going to switch to 3 seconds. Last but not least, we're going to go back to this movement tab and we're going to pull in 2 stop motor commands. So we'll click and drag it over because there's 2 motors. And we're going to say the motor port that we should stop is right motor and left motor. And we're good. Our robot should now run for 3 seconds on full speed and then stop. Now, if you've got this extra space, don't worry about it. It goes so lightning fast, it doesn't even need to worry about this. So please just leave that. If you really want to tuck it and have the curly brace up here, go for it. It goes faster than the speed of light, I swear. So don't worry about that. But after you've got this code in, what you want to do is take your robot and then you're going to go back to the teacher's desk. You're going to grab one of the batteries that's sitting on the teacher's desk. You're going to plug that into your robot cortex. Now, I am strongly confident that all of us can figure out where that battery goes. We're also going to go back to the tan cabinet, and on the shelf that the cortexes or the brains were on, there are orange cords. Now these we need to connect the robot to the computer. I'm also confident that we can figure out how to connect from the robot to the computer. If we can't, please ask a classmate for help. Once you've plugged in the battery, you've plugged in the cord, please look at the robot brain. It has an on-off switch. You need to turn that on-off switch to on. Once you've done that, you should be able to go up to Robot and hit Compile and Download Program. And what's going to come up next is a small window here, and it should have an option to say Start. Now, you'll know you were successful in your programming if, and hold up your robot during this time, make sure the wheels aren't on the ground or it'll take off on you, if your robot's wheels move for 3 seconds and then stop. So once you hit that start button, they should move for 3 seconds and then stop. If you've done that, you've gotten your coding done correctly and you've successfully programmed your first robot. We'll go further as the days go on, but that's all the farther this tutorial will take you. Good luck. If you have success, please feel free to try maybe turning your robot. Feel free to try doing other things with it as well. If you have questions, please ask.